The honest truth about the Fiend Bray Wyatt. This is a video which I really wanted to make, and I have for a while, because, yes, I've done the whole Let Me In, the transformation of Bray Wyatt documentary. I've done some, reaction videos of, oh my god, The Fiend ambushes Randy Orton, or Alexa Bliss vomits black goo. I've done all that kind of stuff. Now, I'm moving on from that to doing, as objective as I can, a look at The Fiend Bray Wyatt. I want to do this as objectively as I can, because this is a topic which I feel like a lot of people in the community are very one side or the other on. People either really enjoy this stuff, say it's by far the best thing on Raw, praise this stuff near enough every week, and say it's just damn good and they love it. And on the other side of the fence, people say they hate this, supernatural stuff has no place in wrestling, The Fiend sucks, the whole gimmick needs to be stopped, Alexa Bliss running around as a 12-year-old's garbage, that kind of stuff. So, it's very contentious on either side of the fence, so I'm sure down below in the comments, you real ones are going absolutely ham, giving your, honest opinions about this, which is going to be, I can't wait to see the comments for this video, but nonetheless, the truth about The Fiend, okay, I'm going to try and phrase this as simply as I can off the cuff. Bray Wyatt has made a career out of masking losses and just momentum-shattering defeats through complicated sounding verbal doctrine and just words. Okay, Bray Wyatt masks these constant losses in big matches with cryptic, deep, long-sounding verbal doctrine. Okay, and you might be thinking, elitist, what does that mean? You're doing a Bray Wyatt there, you're using a bunch of big words, I can't really understand what you're trying to say. Can you please water that down a bit? If you're thinking that, totally fair. Essentially, Bray Wyatt, what he's done throughout his career is do the Bray Wyatt cult leader promos. These have been promos which for literally years and years now have been unanimously praised. Bray Wyatt will be in either a dark room, as when he was the cult leader in the Wyatt family, or he'll be in the Firefly Funhouse, and he'll do a promo for about 2 to 5 minutes where he does a very cryptic sounding kind of portrayal. The general vibe you get is a cryptic one. It's very much, as Randy Orton described in the Broken Skull Sessions interviews, one of these things where you're not so much listening to what they're saying, you kind of just, the words get drowned out because it's just a bunch of big words which all have a general kind of same sentiment. You don't really listen to the words specifically, you just you follow the fact, okay, this guy, it's a creepy character, he's speaking in a creepy tone, this is the creepy guy. That's essentially what Bray Wyatt's built the past 8 years of his career on. And in that regard, he's done well. But when it comes to Bray Wyatt, where the issue is really, it's the big matches. It's Vince McMahon going all in with this. And what I mean by that is that Bray Wyatt will get months and months and months of these video packages. He'll get months and months and months of these promos where Bray Wyatt will do the whole creepy, I'm a cult leader, follow the buzzards, and he'll do these big promos with a bunch of convoluted words, which if you want to look closely and analyze the exact transcript word for word of, maybe you can infer some deep, convoluted, underlying meaning and story to it. Maybe if you really want to dig 10 levels below the surface, and you really study these Bray Wyatt promos, and you come up with all these theories, and if you want to do that with Bray Wyatt, hats off to you. I hope that brings you immense happiness. But the fact of the matter is, for just a general viewer, Bray Wyatt, the whole character, the whole act, for the better part of the last 8 years, is someone who talks a lot, does a style of promo, a cryptic style of promo, where you tune out of what he's actually saying, and you just get this whole, okay, this is the creepy guy, he's speaking cryptic. That's what he says. And then the actions, he beats up some guys, gets some wins against guys who are just run-of-the-mill. And then when he has the big matches at the big pay-per-views, he's just going to lose. He's just going to fall short. And, look no further than WrestleMania 33, you look WrestleMania 37, Super Showdown 2020, WrestleMania 30, Hell in a Cell 2015. You name them, Survivor Series 2015, WrestleMania 31. You name it. It's part and parcel with Bray Wyatt. It's part and parcel with this whole talk a big game, spew a bunch of doctrine and a bunch of cryptic, maniacal stuff to the WWE universe that's going to make people think, oh, this guy must be legit. But every time there's that big stepping stone, every time there's that big mountain to conquer for Bray Wyatt, the guy falls short. And after a while, it's one of these contentious ones where, realistically, how seriously can you take him? But at the same time, is the guy who every time he's on Raw is the most notable part of the show. Every time he's on Raw, his segment and what he's doing generates the most buzz, attention, and traction on YouTube. Is that guy just buried because he loses a match? Now, that's the narrative that the wrestling community, certain people specifically, like to push. People love to push the narrative that Bray Wyatt loses a match, be that to Goldberg, be that to Seth Rollins. Well, the Seth Rollins Hell in a Cell 2019 thing wasn't a loss per se, it was a ref stoppage. But I mean, that was essentially a loss to that character. You have, Goldberg, the Rollins stuff. You go through with stuff like, I don't know, him losing to Roman Reigns, when he lost the title at Payback 2020. Then the stuff, where the Fiend lost to Randy Orton, and the Fiend got burned alive at TLC, and then the stuff at WrestleMania 37. Whenever the Fiend loses, you have a crowd of people crying out that the Fiend Bray Wyatt has been buried. There's no recovering from it. He's buried 10 foot under. Bray Wyatt might as well be dead and buried. Even though Bray Wyatt, he's going to keep coming back and keep coming back. Because how Bray Wyatt's character has lived and evolved over the past 8 years, it's one where no matter how, who he loses to, no matter how he loses to them, he's going to be back. He's going to be in the Firefly Funhouse doing a cryptic promo where 99% of the people watching won't analyze and listen to every word. They're just going to see the Funhouse and think, oh yeah, Bray's alive and well. He's cutting the promo. He's getting TV time. All good. That's what generally people will think. But, of course, the minority on wrestling Twitter, the minority in the wrestling community, will see Bray Wyatt and think he's buried. Now, is saying Bray Wyatt's buried fair? Well, what do you constitute as buried? He lost some kayfabe matches. Okay. Like we've seen over the course of Bray Wyatt's career from 2012 through 2021, this man does not need to win every match to be important and relevant as far as views, relevancy, WWE social media, getting clicks, getting attention. Bray Wyatt doesn't inherently need to win every single match to fit into that regard. Because as I said earlier in the video, every time most of your favorite wrestling YouTubers use The Fiend or Alexa Bliss as the main thing in the thumbnail, the main title of the video, that's going to get more views than anything else on the show it was on. Okay, when you watch a 3-hour episode of Raw, the 1 to 2 minute stuff involving The Fiend is going to draw more views than anything else on that show. That's just part and parcel. That's just what happens. If you disagree with that, literally look at the views on my Raw reviews over the past year. Look at the views on Bonafide Heat's Raw reviews. See Wrestling. He's made a whole career and a whole channel off of literally The Fiend Bray Wyatt and what The Fiend Bray Wyatt does, theories, etc. Shout out to See Wrestling. But nonetheless, this guy Bray Wyatt, his whole career is literally, as I said earlier in the video, it's masking losses and consistent, big time shortcomings in these big matches against guys like Goldberg, Cena, Orton, etc. Bray Wyatt's career is masking that with cryptic, just convoluted, hard to follow, confusing doctrine. That's Bray Wyatt. And as I said just before, I'll repeat this one more time before kind of closing up the video. If you really want to really hypo-analyze and thoroughly break down the nuances of every little word Bray Wyatt said, and you really want to draw these deep, convoluted branches of long-term storytelling, in a promo in 2016, Bray Wyatt referenced Sister Abigail's glove. Bray Wyatt in the Firefly Funhouse in 2021, one of the puppets had a glove on. This is insane long-term storytelling. Like, if you want to do that, and you think everything Bray Wyatt does in that sense is just inherently so magical, that kind of stuff is kind of cool. But if you have to dig that hard and dig that deep to really try and get that out of Bray Wyatt, I mean, fair play to you. Fair play to you. But the fact of the matter is, the best way I can describe Bray Wyatt and his character, confusing. Now, I think the Smarkbuster said this years ago, Wrestling should never be confusing. It should be the most simple, lowbrow, basic crap. That's the bad guy, punch him. It shouldn't realistically be that convoluted and confusing. And while that convoluted and confusing stuff can lead to great TV, at the end of the day, it's Bray Wyatt's way of masking his shortcomings and failures consistently in these big matches. So that's my take, that's my stance, that's my as objective as possible video about Bray Wyatt, because I honestly felt like people have hardly said this in the community. People are either in that Bray Wyatt is buried after every lost camp, the Fiend is buried 10 foot under, the Fiend can't recover. People are either in that boat, or people are in the I love Alexa Bliss, I love the Fiend, I love what they're doing, it's awesome, long-term storytelling, OMG, 8 years ago Bray Wyatt said this in a promo with Eric Rowan, now 8 years later there's this reference to long-term storytelling and everything's beautiful. So people are either in one camp or the other. I want to attack this up the guts and give an objective opinion. So that's my video. Hope you guys have enjoyed. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, and drill.